planet was full of green storms and red skies. Lightning struck far in the distance as wind howled through the trees. Deep in a jungle valley, a small escape pod lay half buried in the mud. Its surface was scorched from entry. Smoke rose. From the broken hatch, inside, a young alien girl sat curled up, her violet skin pale and her golden eyes wide with fear. She was a princess of the Talari Empire. Her name was Solari. Just a day ago, she had been on a royal ship flying through a peaceful sector, heading to a new alliance meeting. But then everything changed. Unknown ships had attacked. Explosions rocked the corridors. Alarms screamed. Guards pulled her toward the escape pod and shouted for her to flee. She didn't want to leave her mother, but they forced her in and launched it just as the ship was torn apart by fire. Now she was alone. Her communication band blinked red no signal. Her leg was cut badly from the crash. Her breath came in small gasps. The forest outside made strange sounds, nothing familiar. It was wild, dangerous, and she was scared. Meanwhile, far above the same planet, a human soldier named Ryan stood on the deck of an old outpost station orbiting the nearby moon. The place was quiet, too quiet, as most stations had been abandoned. After the Great Treaties, Ryan was one of the few humans still on patrol duty in this sector. Most thought this part of space was peaceful. He was just finishing his meal when a blinking light appeared on the screen, an emergency beacon, not from any human ship, alien code. He tapped the console. Escape pod. Unidentified. Landed. On Malkar 4? He leaned closer. Who crashes there? The place is a death trap. Still, the signal was weak and fading. He looked around. No orders, no one to stop him. Ryan grabbed his gear, checked his rifle, and loaded a small shuttle with food, water, and a medkit. "You're really going down there?" asked an old engineer through the speaker. "Someone might need help," Ryan replied. "Could be a trap, could be a scared kid." "I'm going." His shuttle broke through the thick clouds and landed a few miles from the signal. Vines and moss quickly wrapped around the landing struts. The forest smelled of ash and strange flowers. Ryan moved carefully, his eyes scanning the jungle. Followed the signal until he reached a small crater. There it was, the escape pod. He approached slowly, keeping his hands open and visible. The hatch was half open. Inside, he saw her. The alien girl, small, hurt, and holding a glowing blade that shook in her hand. "Easy," he said gently. "I'm not here to hurt you." She didn't understand his words, but she saw something in his eyes. His hands weren't holding a weapon. His voice was calm. Still, she didn't lower the blade. "You're human," she said weakly in her own language. He didn't know her words, but he understood the tone. He took off his helmet and pointed. To his mouth, then to her bandaged leg. "Let me help," he said. She winced in pain and fell back. Her hand dropped the blade. Ryan stepped inside, knelt beside her, and slowly opened the medkit. She flinched, but didn't resist. He cleaned the wound, wrapped it, and gave her a sip of water. "That's better," he smiled. "See, just trying to help." Solari didn't reply, but she looked at him with wide eyes. His skin was different, scent was strange. But he hadn't hurt her. In fact, he moved with care, like one of her people would toward a child. Outside, the wind picked up again. Loud roars echoed in the jungle. "What was that?" Ryan whispered. "Says," lips trembled. "Garneth," she whispered. "Hunters." Pointed toward a broken cliffside not far away. Ryan helped her stand. She leaned on him. They moved slowly, leaves brushing their shoulders, branches creaking above. He found a shallow cave behind the rocks and helped her sit. "This will have to do for now," he said. He set up a small fire, not too bright, just enough to warm them. He laid down a small blanket and gave her half a protein bar. She took it with weak fingers. "Thank you," she said softly, though he didn't understand. Then she looked at the flames. And for the first time, she felt a small bit of hope. This human. He had no reason to help her, yet here he was, caring for her like she mattered. Her eyes grew heavy. She hadn't slept since the crash. Ryan sat near the edge of the cave, watching the forest. His rifle rested on his lap, ready in case anything came close. He glanced back and saw the girl curled up near the fire, holding the blanket close. "Whoever you are," he whispered, "you're not alone anymore." Above them, stars slowly moved across the sky. Far away, the queen of the Talari Empire stared at a large map of the galaxy, tears in her eyes. "Please," she whispered to no one, "bring her back." Back in the cave, the wind calmed. The forest held its breath. And in the quiet of the jungle, 2 lives, 1 human, 1 alien began. A story no one had expected. Morning came slowly over the forest. Mist floated through the trees, and birds with bright wings flew above the canopy. In the cave, Ryan was already awake. He had not slept much. He sat near the entrance, his rifle across his knees, listening. To every sound behind him, the alien girl Solari was still sleeping. Her breathing was calm now. During the night, she had moved closer to the fire. Ryan had quietly placed another blanket over her. He didn't know much about her species, but he could tell she was young and important. The golden jewelry on her wrists and the fine cloth of her clothes said that clearly. When she stirred and sat up, Ryan turned. "Hey," he said softly. "You okay?" She looked at him with tired eyes. Though she didn't understand his words, she nodded slowly. Her wound still hurt, but it was wrapped tightly. The pain was less than before. Ryan handed her a small piece of dried fruit and a water pouch. She took both, her fingers brushing his. "You safe," she said, trying to find the right words in his language. Ryan smiled. "Yeah, safe." Outside, the jungle was quiet, but that didn't mean safe. Ryan stepped outside to check the surroundings. The tracks near the cave were fresh, large, wide prints with claws. Whatever hunted last night had been close. He came back in and looked at Solari. "We can't stay here." She tilted her head. Ryan pointed to the outside and drew a picture in the dirt using a stick. A cave, then a beast. Then he drew a shuttle and a path. She watched closely and understood. "You help me go?" she asked. Ryan nodded. "I'll carry you if I have to." Solari looked down, unsure. Then she touched the small crystal on her bracelet. The light flickered. Her eyes widened. "Signal," she said, excited. Ryan leaned closer. The bracelet was sending a weak signal. Maybe someone would hear it. But it was too low to reach orbit clearly. Still, it gave him hope. If they could get to higher ground, the signal might grow stronger. They packed quickly. "Great." Ryan tied her leg with a second bandage and made a sling from his jacket. She leaned on his shoulder, and they moved out of the cave slowly. The forest was thick. Vines hung low. Insects buzzed around them. They stopped often to rest. Ryan kept scanning the trees, alert for movement. He knew the jungle didn't like visitors. Too many creatures hunted in silence. By mid-morning, they reached a fallen tree stretched over a river. Ryan helped her cross carefully. Halfway across, a loud crack echoed behind them. Slayara gasped and turned. Ryan spun around, rifle ready. A large creature stepped out of the bushes. It stood taller than both of them. Its body was covered in dark green scales, and its mouth was wide with rows of teeth. It let out a low growl. "CLAR," I whispered Garneth. Ryan raised his rifle slowly. "Don't move," he said quietly, not that she understood. He stepped forward slightly, placing himself between her and the beast. The Garneth growled again, stepping closer. Ryan fired. The shot hit the ground near the beast's feet, kicking up dirt. It roared and charged. Ryan fired again, hitting its shoulder. The creature stumbled but didn't stop. Ryan shouted, "Run." Solari tried to move, but her leg gave out. Ryan grabbed her and lifted her into his arms. Duh. He ran into the trees as the beast chased after them. Branches whipped his face. His boots slammed into rocks and roots. The Garneth roared behind them. Smashing through the forest up ahead, Ryan saw a rocky slope. He climbed it, slipping but never stopping. The beast followed, slower but steady. At the top of the ridge, Ryan set Solari down and aimed again. He waited until the garnet came into view, then fired 3 shots in a row. The last bullet hit its neck. The beast staggered and let out a final cry before falling to the ground. With a heavy thud, Solera covered her mouth, eyes wide. Ryan breathed, hard chest, rising and falling. Then he looked at her and smiled. "We're okay." She nodded, still shaken. Then she said, "You saved me." Ryan helped her to a shady spot and gave her more water. The ridge they now stood on was high. From there, they could see the tops of trees and the broken mountain peaks in the distance. Solera tapped her bracelet. The signal light blinked faster, stronger. "They might hear it now," she said, with hope in her voice. Ryan smiled. "Good. Let's hope they come fast." They built a small shelter using branches and leaves. Ryan used a silver blanket from his emergency kit to reflect sunlight. It might help passing ships notice them. As the sun lowered, they sat side by side. Solar looked at him. "Why you help me?" Ryan thought for a second, and he said, "Because you're someone's daughter." She stared at him. "If my sister was out there," Ryan added, "I'd want someone to help her too." Solari looked away for a moment. Her golden eyes were wet. No one had said something like that to her before, not even some of her own people. Then she whispered, "Thank you." He nodded. "Rest. I'll keep watch." As night fell again, the forest grew louder, but the ridge felt safer. Ryan sat with his rifle looking at the stars. Solari slept under the shelter, her hand holding her bracelet tightly above the clouds, far in orbit. A scout ship of the Talari Empire picked up a strange, faint signal coming from Malkar 4. The Queen, still seated in the command room, stood up as the technician said, "Your Highness, we found her." Stars twinkled softly above the ridge as the wind whispered through the trees. Ryan stayed awake, sitting near the shelter, rifle resting in his lap. Every now and then he glanced over at Solari. She was sleeping peacefully, wrapped in the silver blanket. Her breathing was steady, her face calm for the first time since he found her. He leaned back against a rock, rubbing his shoulder. The chase from earlier had left him bruised and tired, but he didn't care. He just wanted her to stay safe until help came. In the distance, strange howls echoed through the forest. Ryan didn't move. He knew not all creatures hunted by sight. Some hunted sound. So he waited, quiet and alert, until the jungle grew silent again. By morning, Solari woke with a soft groan. Ryan helped her sit up and gave her water and a few more food bars. She looked pale but stronger than the day before. She pointed to the sky and then to her bracelet. "Signal. Better." Ryan nodded. "Stronger. Someone should find us soon." Solari tried to smile, but worry still showed on her face. "If they don't come." Ryan looked at her and shrugged gently. "Then we survive. Together." The words meant something to her. She lowered her gaze and said, "You're not like what they told us about humans." Ryan chuckled. "Good to know." They spent the day building a bigger signal marker. Ryan used a flare panel, part of his shuttle supplies, and laid it flat on the ridge. He placed shiny pieces of gear around it to reflect sunlight. It even helped a little, though her legs still hurt too much to walk far. After lunch, clouds began to gather in the sky. A low rumble of thunder rolled across the land. "Storm," Ryan muttered. They quickly moved their shelter under a rocky overhang. Ryan reinforced it with thick leaves and sticks. Solari helped hold parts in place. Raindrops started falling slowly, then heavier. Soon the forest was full of rain and wind. Inside their small dry spot, they sat close together. Solari looked at the water flowing outside. "When I crashed," she said softly, "I thought, no one would come." "I came," Ryan said. "Yes," she nodded, eyes shining. "You came." They sat in silence, listening to the rain. After a while, Ryan leaned his head back and closed his eyes. His body finally gave in to exhaustion. His breath slowed. He fell asleep beside her, trusting she was safe now. As night came again, the rain stopped. The stars returned. Solari looked up through the small opening in the rocks. She held her bracelet close and whispered, "Please find us." Meanwhile, in space above the planet, a Talari scout ship moved through the cloud layers. The technician tapped his console, signal growing stronger. Ridgetop, Sector 7. The Queen stood behind the crew, her hands shaking slightly. "Prepare rescue ship," she ordered. "Go now." Back on the ridge, Ryan woke to the sound of something soft and fast, a fluttering noise. He looked up quickly, hand on his rifle. Above them, a drone hovered, lights blinking. "Look," Solari cried. "It's ours." Ryan stood and waved his arms. The drone scanned them, beeped, and flew off fast. "That's it," Ryan said with a tired smile. "They found you." Hours passed, but both of them stayed awake watching the sky. Then, just before sunrise, they heard it. The sound of engines. A ship came down through the clouds, bright lights glowing. It hovered just above the ridge, and a hatch opened with a soft hiss. Several alien guards stepped out, weapons ready. They paused when they saw Solari. "Princess Solari," one shouted. In shock, "You're alive." Solari reached out. "He saved me." The guards looked at Ryan with confused eyes. One of them moved closer, unsure whether to treat him as friend or enemy. But Solari stepped in front of Ryan. "No," she said firmly. "He's not a threat. He's my protector." One of the guards tapped his wrist device. "Notify the Queen. We found her." Solari turned to Ryan. "You're coming too, right?" Ryan blinked. "I'm just a soldier. I'll head back to my shuttle." "I know," she said. "You must come with me. Mother will want to see you." He looked at the guards, unsure. Solari nodded again. "Please." The guards helped lift Solari onto a floating platform. Then they turned to Ryan and motioned for him to follow. Stepped aboard slowly, holding his pack. The rescue ship rose into the sky, leaving the jungle. Behind, as they flew higher, Ryan looked out the window and saw the planet below, wild and untamed. Yet it had changed everything. On the Telleri capital ship, the Queen waited in the docking bay. Her long robes shimmered under the lights. Her face looked tired, eyes red from worry. She clutched a small pendant, one she wore since her daughter was born. The doors opened. Solari was carried out gently. "Mother," she cried. The Queen ran forward, tears falling. She pulled Solari into her arms, holding her tightly. "You're alive, my child. You're alive." Ryan stood behind them quietly, unsure if he should stay or go. Then the Queen turned her eyes to him. "Who is this?" she asked. Solari smiled through her tears. "Mother, this is the one who saved me." Ryan stood still as the Queen of the Talari Empire looked at him. Her eyes were full of emotion, sadness, relief, and deep curiosity. She held her daughter close, then gently stepped forward. "You are the human who found her?" she asked, her voice calm but firm. Ryan nodded. "Yes, Your Highness. She was alone and hurt. I just did what anyone should do." A few guards stiffened at his reply, but the Queen raised her hand and they relaxed. She looked at Solari. "Is this true?" Solari smiled. "He saved me more than once, Mother. He protected me, fed me, fought a Garneth to keep me safe. If he wasn't there, I wouldn't be here." The Queen turned to Ryan again. "Then I owe you everything. Come, walk with us." Ryan followed behind as Solari was taken on a floating medical bed through the wide golden halls of the royal cruiser. Everything was clean, quiet, and filled with soft lights. Alien nobles whispered as they passed, staring at the human in their midst. Some frowned. Some looked surprised. Others simply stared in silence. They entered the royal healing chamber. Solari was gently placed inside a circular pod that glowed blue. The Queen sat beside her, holding her hand. Ryan stood to the side, unsure if he should stay. The Queen noticed. "Do not leave yet. We have much to speak about." A healer scanned Solari's body and said, "She will recover. The wounds are shallow but untreated for too long. Her energy is low, but her spirit is strong." Solari looked at Ryan and gave a small smile. The queen turned to him once more. Tell me everything, from the moment you found her. Ryan spoke clearly and honestly. He told her about the beacon, the crash, the escape pod, the forest, the cave, the garneth, and the high ridge where they waited. He didn't hide anything. As he spoke, the queen listened closely. She didn't interrupt. She watched him, not like a ruler, but like a mother. When he finished, she looked down and breathed deeply. You carried my daughter through a jungle that even our best soldiers avoid, she said. And yet you did not know who she was. I didn't need to, Ryan replied. I saw someone. Hurt and alone, that was enough. The room fell quiet then. Slowly the queen stood up and walked over to him. She placed her hand gently on his shoulder. You are not like the stories we've heard. Ryan nodded. I've heard a few stories about your people too, but your daughter changed that. A soft laugh escaped the queen's lips. Maybe. We both needed to learn something. Suddenly, the main door opened. An older alien counselor entered. His face was stern. He bowed to the queen and glanced at Ryan. Your Highness, the counselor said. With respect, this human should be questioned. We do not know his true purpose. Before the queen could answer, Solari raised her voice. No. Everyone turned to her. Sale or I sat up inside the pod. Roy's was weak but strong with feeling. He risked his life to save me. He didn't ask for anything. Didn't even know who I was. He gave me food when he had little. Fought monsters to protect me. Is that not enough? The counselor looked uneasy. Your Highness, the people may not understand. Then they will learn, the queen said calmly. We judge by actions, not by race. This human showed honor, more than some of our own. Ow. The room stayed silent. Then the queen looked at Ryan again. You will stay as our guest, not as a prisoner, not even as a visitor, but as a hero. Gosh. Ryan was surprised. I don't need a title. I'm just glad she's safe. Titles don't matter, the queen said, but gratitude does. For the next few days, Ryan stayed in the royal palace aboard the cruiser. He was given clean clothes, food, and a quiet room. Guards watched him, but not with fear, more with curiosity. Servants bowed respectfully, and when he walked through the halls, whispers followed. He visited Solari each day. She grew stronger quickly. They talked more now. Their language barrier became smaller. She taught him a few Telleri words. He taught her some human ones. On the fourth day, Solari walked into the garden with Ryan by her side. Her limp was slight, and her smile was bright. They sat near a glowing fountain. The flowers around them moved gently with the breeze. When I go home, Ryan said, I don't know how to explain all this. Just say you saved a princess, Solari teased. No one will believe me, he smiled. She looked down, then reached into her pocket. She pulled out a small silver pendant shaped like a star and handed it to him. What's this? He asked. A royal sign of trust, she said. You wear it, and you are always welcome in our lands. Ryan held it, unsure what to say, and Solari added softly, if you ever feel alone, just look at it. It means someone out there is thinking of you. He met her eyes and nodded. Thank you, princess. No, she whispered. Thank you, soldier. The news of the princess's rescue spread quickly across the Telleri Empire. Every planet, every city, every colony heard about the human soldier who had saved the queen's only daughter. Some believed it, some doubted it, many were simply shocked. No human had ever been welcomed inside the royal cruiser before. And yet here was Ryan walking its halls, speaking with the royal family. And sitting beside the princess in the gardens, in the palace council room. High leaders gathered to discuss what would come next. We must show respect to this human, said one noble. He saved the future of our people. But others will question why we allowed him so close to the throne, another replied. Humans have always been outsiders. The queen raised her hand. Silence filled the room. What this human did is beyond politics, she said. He did not come with weapons or ships. He came with heart. He risked everything to protect what he didn't even understand. The nobles stayed quiet. One could argue that truth. Meanwhile, Ryan sat with Solari in the ship's learning hall. It was a quiet room filled with star maps, history books, and soft music. Solari pointed to a map of the galaxy. "This is our capital," she said. Ryan smiled. "Looks like a bright star. It's peaceful," she replied. "And now? Maybe your people can visit someday." He looked at her with surprise. "Really? You changed how my people see humans?" she said. "You changed how I see the universe." A soft knock came at the door. Messenger stepped in and bowed. "Queen invites both of you to the main chamber," he said. "The High Circle has arrived." "What's the High Circle?" Ryan asked. "It's the leaders of every major world in the Empire," Solari explained. "They gather for rare moments. This must be important." As they entered the grand chamber, hundreds of eyes turned toward them. Noble leaders in long robes stood on balconies. Screens showed scenes from across the Empire. At the center stood the Queen. She raised her voice. Calm and strong. "My daughter was saved not by our ships, not by our guards, but by a human, alone and without orders. He left safety behind and entered danger for someone he did not know." Moved through the hall, the Queen continued. "He did not ask who she was. He only saw someone in pain, and he answered with kindness. That action, to me, speaks louder than any alliance." Ryan looked around, feeling both proud and nervous. The Queen turned to him. "Step forward, Ryan, of Earth." He walked to the platform, heart beating fast. "Today," the Queen said, "I offer you the mark of the Sun Hour, highest sign of honor." A royal guard handed her a golden medal shaped like a rising sun. She pinned it gently on his chest. "You are now a friend of the Talari Empire. Our worlds are open to you." The chamber filled with respectful applause. Solaire stepped beside him, smiling. "You deserve it." Later, Ryan stood alone at the viewing deck. The stars outside looked brighter. It touched the metal on his chest. It felt strange. It's not heavy, but full of meaning. The Queen joined him quietly. "You don't enjoy attention?" she asked. "Not really," Ryan replied with a smile. "I'm just a soldier, not a hero. My daughter says otherwise," the Queen said, and now I agree with her. They looked out at the stars for a moment. "What will you do now?" the Queen asked. Ryan thought for a while. "I miss home, but this place has taught me a lot. Your people have been kind. You've earned their respect," she said. "But if you wish to return, we will honor that." Before he could reply, a message came through the speaker. "Earth's command is requesting communication." Ryan followed the Queen to the private chamber. The screen lit up, showing a human officer. "Sergeant Ryan," the officer said. "We received word from the Telleri. Is it true? You've saved their princess?" Ryan nodded. "Yes, sir. You've made quite an impression." The officer smiled. "Earth Command wishes to offer you a position, ambassador to the Talari Empire." Ryan blinked. "Me? No one else has earned their trust like you. Think about it." The screen turned off. Slayer. I looked at him. "Ambassador? I don't even know how to be one," Ryan muttered. The Queen smiled. "You already are one, even if you don't realize it." That night, Ryan sat in his room, thinking deeply. The stars outside felt close, like they were calling him. He opened his pack and took out the small silver pendant Solari had given him. He smiled and held it tightly. The door opened. Solar stood there. "Can't sleep? Too much on my mind." "You'll make the right choice," she said. "How do you know?" "'Cause you followed your heart, and it led you to me." Stood together at the window, two people from different worlds, but something about the silence between them felt like understanding. A week later, the royal cruiser entered orbit around Earth. For the first time in history, a Telleri capital ship hovered peacefully above a human world. Many on Earth were surprised. Some were nervous. Others were simply amazed. Inside the cruiser, Ryan stood in his formal suit, simple, clean, and marked with the metal of the rising sun. Next to him stood Princess Solari, wearing a flowing silver dress and a small smile that calmed the air around her. She looked both proud and calm. "You're sure you want to do this?" she asked him. "Yes," Ryan nodded. I've made my decision." Earth's command had offered him the role of ambassador, and now it was official. He would act as the bridge between humans and the Talari, not just because he saved the princess, but because he had earned the trust of both worlds. The queen stepped forward. Her voice was soft but powerful. Today we begin a new path, one of peace and friendship. My daughter is safe because of a human, and now that same human will help guide our future. The royal guards bowed, and so did the Tellarine nobles. Ryan looked toward the communication screen as it lit up again. This time it showed his mother, double quotes mom, seeing him in formal clothing, standing beside the alien princess. And the queen. Ryan, what? What is happening? She asked. He laughed. Don't worry, I'm safe, actually. I've never felt safer. Tears filled her eyes. I heard so many things. The news kept talking about an alien ship. A rescue. And I didn't know if it was you or not. It was, he said. I'll tell you everything soon. I just want you to know I'm okay. I made some friends. I found something. Bigger than I ever imagined? His mom wiped her eyes. So proud of you. Behind him, Solari stepped into view. She waved and smiled warmly. Ryan's mom paused, then smiled back. Thank you, she said, her voice cracking. Thank you for keeping my son safe, Solari replied. He kept me safe too. As the call ended, the queen placed her hand on Ryan's shoulder. Your world will be watching, as will mine. But don't forget what brought you here. It wasn't power, it was kindness. Ryan nodded. I remember. Soon after, a formal event was held aboard the cruiser. Humans and Talari walked together for the first time. Leaders exchanged greetings. Food from both worlds was shared. Stories were told about the jungle, the escape, and how a lone human soldier changed the course of two empires. Children from both species played in the halls, laughing and curious. Soldiers from both sides shared drinks, speaking through translators and hand signs. The galaxy was large, but in that moment it felt smaller, friendlier. Later that night, Ryan stood on the upper deck with Solari. The stars above them were bright and endless. Do you think things will really change? He asked her. I think they already have, she replied. They stood quietly for a moment. You know, Solari said, when I crashed. I thought my story was over, but it was just the beginning. Ryan looked at her. You gave me purpose. I didn't expect that. We both got something we didn't expect, she said with a soft laugh. Then from her pocket she pulled out a small stone. It glowed faintly and pulsed like a heartbeat. What's that? Ryan asked. A promise stone, she said. It's something we give to someone who made a mark on our life. She placed it in his hand. This will remind you that no matter how far apart we are, our bond stays strong. Ryan held the stone tightly. Thank you, Princess. Call me Solari, she said with a smile. You've earned it. The ship began its journey again, moving slowly over Earth's surface. Messages from other species started pouring in. If the Tellarine and humans could become friends, maybe others could too. Peace talks were planned. Visits between worlds were arranged. Old fears began to melt away. But for Ryan, none of that mattered as much as the moment he shared with Solarian. That ridge under a sky full of danger? Where two strangers found safety in each other. He didn't ask for reward. He didn't seek glory. He just followed his heart. And in doing so, helped rewrite history as the stars blinked above and the cruiser glided forward. Ryan looked once more at the pendant she had given him and whispered, Yes, Mom, I'm safe. Thanks to her,